Autumn 1942. A German recon squad moved carefully into a silent village, long abandoned, lit only by the fading orange glow of dusk. No birds, no villagers, no smoke from chimneys, just empty houses, broken doors, and the unsettling feeling that someone had left in a hurry. Sergeant Weber raised his hand. "Stay close. Something isn't right here." They entered slowly, boots crunching against fallen leaves, unaware they were walking into a place people avoided for a reason. Private Kruger stopped dead in his tracks. "Sir, look at this." A symbol carved deep into a wooden door. Circles twisting into each other, sharp lines like claws, and a spiral in the center almost hypnotic. The carving was fresh, too fresh for an abandoned village. Weber touched it with his glove. A wave of cold shot up his arm. He stepped back quickly. Whatever this is, it wasn't done by the villagers. They spotted a church at the end of the street, windows shattered, bell crooked, but light flickered inside. The squad exchanged looks. "No one's here, so who lit the candles?" Kruger whispered. Weber took point. His heart pounded as he approached the entrance. The door was wide open, as if someone had been expecting them. Inside, the air felt heavy, almost alive. Inside the church, everything smelled of damp earth and old dust. But at the altar, something didn't belong here. A black stone box, small enough to lift with one hand, but covered in symbols matching the ones carved outside. The lid was sealed with red wax. Fresh wax. Kruger whispered, "What is that?" Weber stepped closer. His breath turned cold. His fingers tingled. He felt drawn to it, like it was calling him silently. Against the warnings in his mind, Weber reached out and lifted the box. The moment he touched it, every candle in the church flared up violently, flames stretching higher than possible. A deep rumble echoed through the walls. One of the soldiers shouted, "Sir, put it down!" But Weber didn't listen. He stared at the box, mesmerized, and the box felt warm, like something inside was alive. The church door slammed shut behind them. The church trembled as if struck by an earthquake. Dust rained from the rafters. The floorboards creaked under their boots. Weber held the black box tightly against his chest, breathing fast. "Sir, drop it!" one of the men shouted. But Weber didn't move. His eyes were fixed forward, empty, distant. It was as if the box had attached. The men rushed to the entrance. They pushed the door with their shoulders. It didn't budge. They tried again. Nothing. It felt like someone was holding it closed from the outside. "Something's trapping us," Kruger whispered, panic creeping into his voice. Behind them, the candles burned with tall, unnatural flames, bending toward Weber, as if reaching for the box in his hands. Suddenly, Weber dropped to his knees. The box started shaking violently, vibrating like a heartbeat. Weber's voice trembled. "It's speaking," he whispered. The others stared at him. "What do you mean, speaking?" Weber's head twitched. "It wants to be opened." The room temperature dropped so quickly their breath turned white. Weber's fingers moved to the wax seal. "No, don't!" Kruger cried, rushing toward him. He grabbed Weber's arm, but the moment he touched him, he jerked back as if burned. Weber's skin was freezing cold, almost like touching stone. The wax seal slowly cracked. A hiss escaped the box. Not mechanical, not natural, something alive. With one final snap, the seal broke. The lid lifted, not by Weber's hand, but by something inside pushing upward. A violent burst of black mist exploded from the box. The candles blew out instantly. Everything went dark. Someone screamed. Weber collapsed, eyes rolled back, and in the darkness, a deep, guttural whisper echoed. Finally, the church was swallowed in darkness. Every window, every candle, gone. Only one thing glowed. A faint red light pulsed from inside the box, like a dying heartbeat. Kruger whispered into the darkness. "Hans, Weber, can you hear me?" But Weber lay motionless on the floor, his chest barely rising. The red glow grew brighter and brighter until it painted the walls with blood-colored light. Weber's fingers twitched. Then again, the man froze as his veins began turning black, spreading up his arms like ink under glass. Mills stumbled back, whispering, "Sir, what's happening to him?" Weber's eyes snapped open, glowing dim red, reflecting the box's light. He inhaled sharply, as if waking from drowning. But the breath didn't sound human. Not anymore. The mist, pooling around the box, lifted into the air, slowly, silently, shaping itself. A tall, thin, shadowy outline formed behind Weber, stretching toward the ceiling. It had no eyes, no face, just a hollow silhouette, but the men could feel it watching them. Kruger aimed his rifle with shaking hands. "Identify yourself." The shadow didn't move. It only leaned closer. Fear broke discipline. Mills fired first. The others followed. Rifles cracking inside the church. Bullets tearing through wooden pews, stone walls, anything. But the shadow didn't react. The bullets passed straight through it. No sound, no movement, as if the thing was simply not part of this world. The men realized it too late. The shadow turned its head toward them, slow and deliberate. With a sudden lunge, the shadow expanded, a burst of black force erupting outward. The explosion of dark mist slammed the soldiers into the walls. Weapons flew from their hands. The church doors blew open violently, wind howling through the hall like a scream. Weber remained kneeling, unmoved, as the shadow wrapped around him like a cloak. And then, in a voice that sounded like 1,000 whispers overlapping, "The vessel is ready." The church had fallen unnaturally silent. Then, click, whir. An old Soviet reel-to-reel recorder in the corner suddenly turned on by itself. No one had touched it. The reels spun, grinding softly as if replaying something recorded long before the squad arrived. A shaken soldier whispered, "Sir, who activated that?" Kruger didn't answer, because deep down he already knew. The dead don't need hands to press play. The recorder sputtered, and then began playing a distorted sound, faint whispers, children laughing, a woman crying, and somewhere far behind it, a short, sharp scream. Weber, still kneeling in front of the glowing box, tilted his head, almost listening. The whispers from the recorder synced with his breathing, as if they were responding to him. Kruger signaled, "Shut it off, now!" Mills moved toward the recorder, but froze. The recorder's knobs twisted by themselves. Click, click, screech. The volume spiked sharply. The sound became agonizing. Multiple voices crying over each other. A child whispering someone's name. Metal dragging across a floor. Mills screamed, covering his ears. "It's inside my head. Turn it off." But no one could. The machine wasn't obeying human hands anymore. Weber smiled faintly, a smile that did not belong to him. Abrupt silence. Then a single clear phrase emerged from the static. "He is not yours anymore." Everyone stopped breathing. The voice was neither male nor female. It was layered, wrong, like something mimicking speech. Kruger slowly turned toward Weber, but Weber was no longer looking at the box. He was looking directly at the squad, and the shadow behind him straightened, as if acknowledging the message. The recorder suddenly burst, a violent eruption of sparks and metal shrapnel. Pieces of burning tape flew across the room. The church filled with smoke, and the smell of scorched plastic. The squad ducked behind shattered pews. When the smoke cleared, the recorder was nothing but twisted metal. But Weber, he was standing now, back straight, eyes glowing red. Shadow wrapped tightly around him like armor, and in a cold, unfamiliar voice, he spoke. The message is delivered. Weber stood like a statue. No tremble, no fear, no humanity. His eyes glowed faint red, pulsing slowly like a heartbeat. Kruger raised his rifle. Weber, if you can hear me, say something. Weber tilted his head slightly, as if confused by the name. Then he whispered, but the voice was not his. There is no Weber. The squad tightened their grips on their weapons. They were no longer looking at a soldier, but at something wearing a soldier. Thin, black tendrils crawled across the floor behind him, snaking out like roots seeking prey. The temperature dropped instantly. Frost formed on the church windows. Private Sokolov stumbled backward, whispering, Boze moi, it's spreading. A tendril shot toward him. Kruger yanked him aside just in time. The shadow hissed, not with sound, but with vibration, like something ancient waking up. Kruger fired the first shot, a clean hit, but the bullet went straight through Weber, as if his body were made of smoke. No flinch, no wound, nothing. The squad opened fire in panic. Dozens of rounds tore through him. Weber's body absorbed none of it. The shadow behind him swelled, feeding off the chaos. Then he stepped forward, slowly, purposefully, like bullets were nothing more than dust blowing around him. Weber lifted his hand, just one. The shadow detonated outward like a silent shockwave. The squad was thrown back, crashing into pews, pillars, even through the wooden floorboards. Mills hit a column hard, coughing blood. Sokolov slid across the floor, gasping for air. Kruger tried to get up, but felt a crushing weight pinning him down. It wasn't physical. It was the pressure of something enormous staring directly into his mind. Weber stepped toward them, voice layered and inhuman. Stop resisting. You were brought here for a purpose. Suddenly, just as the shadow stretched to strike again, it recoiled, like something had interrupted its control. Weber collapsed to his knees, gasping, clutching his head. For a single second, a single flicker, his real voice returned. Cure, help, me. The shadow snapped violently, pulling back into him like a beast retreating underground. Weber's body shook violently. Then he went silent, unmoving. The church felt heavier than ever. The message was clear. Whatever had taken him was far from finished. As the echo of the shadow faded, Kruger noticed something half buried beneath shattered wood. An old Soviet field recorder. Dusty, dented, blood smeared across the side. But the red light was blinking. Someone had recorded something recently. He exchanged a glance with Mills. Who the hell was using this? And why is it still on? Kruger pressed play. The tape crackled. Then a voice whispered through, Experiment 12 has breached containment. Do not let it reach the surface. The voice cut out with a terrified scream. Everyone froze. Experiment 12? Weber wasn't possessed by a ghost. He was infected with something created. The tape continued. A rhythmic thumping echoed. The same heartbeat-like pulse they'd sensed inside Weber. Then came another voice, panicked, breathing hard. We tried to stop it, burned it, shot it, froze it. Nothing works. Static tore the tape. Mills swallowed hard. Sir, this wasn't a natural mutation. They built this thing. Kruger stared at the recorder. Or maybe they unleashed it. A groan echoed through the church. Weber. He lifted his head slowly. His eyes flickered. One moment human, terrified. The next glowing red, predatory. Weber fought to form words. It's inside my blood. It hears everything, even whispers. His voice warped, overlapping with a deeper tone. Kruger crouched beside him. Weber, listen to me. Stay with us. Weber shook violently. It wants you, because you weren't supposed to find this place. The squad stepped back. The entity knew they were here. Weber's body lurched upward, spine cracking. Black veins crawled across his skin, pulsing with every heartbeat. The shadow beneath him began to spread again. Sokolov gripped his rifle. Sir, he's transforming again. Hold fire, Kruger barked, but it was too late. Weber screamed. A horrific layered sound that shook dust off the walls. His hands curled into claws. His face twisted unnaturally. Something was coming through him. Something bigger. Something that didn't belong in a human body. Exploded from Weber's chest. The squad shielded their eyes. When the light faded, Weber lay still. Truly still this time. But the shadow, it had escaped, slithering across the floor, down the cracked stone tiles, and disappearing into a hidden stairway leading deeper underground. The air grew colder. Kruger stared into the darkness. We're not dealing with a soldier anymore, he whispered. We're hunting the thing that used him. The stairway seemed ancient. Older than the church. Older than the village itself. Carved stone. Cracked edges, and a faint red glow pulsing from below, like a heartbeat buried in the earth. Kruger motioned the squad forward. No loud steps, no talking. Whatever that thing is, it knows we're coming. Every footstep echoed like thunder. The deeper they descended, the colder the air became. So cold their breath turned to mist instantly. Mills whispered shakily, Sir, do you feel that? Like the ground is vibrating? Kruger nodded. The heartbeat they heard on the recorder was coming from below them. The stairs opened into a long metallic corridor, Soviet-built, but far more advanced than anything the squad expected for a hidden wartime lab. Rusted steel doors lined both sides. Some were clawed open from the inside. Others were bent outward, as if something had been violently dragged out. A flickering red emergency bulb illuminated a sign on the wall. Research Block C, Biological Phase Testing. Mills's voice cracked. Sir, this was no outpost. This was a facility. Kruger tightened his grip on his rifle. Keep moving. We find the source. We stop it. But the corridor felt alive, breathing, watching. They pushed open a large blast door and entered a ruined containment chamber. Shattered glass covered the floor. A massive cylindrical tank stood cracked open, black fluid dripping from its fractured seams. Claw marks gouged deep into the metal frame, marks no human hand could make. Sokolov crouched beside a puddle of black fluid. It's warm, he whispered. Fresh. Kruger looked at the ceiling. Long scratches etched into the metal tiles. It crawled, upside down. Mills shuddered. Sir, this thing wasn't an accident. They were growing it. Kruger's silence said everything. They had created something they couldn't control, and now it was loose. At the far end of the chamber, they found a trail. It started as human footprints, bare feet, small drops of blood. Then, gradually, the prints changed. Toes elongated, arches bent, skin tearing into clawed, twisted shapes. The transformation had happened during the escape. Right here, the squad followed the trail, rifles raised. The deeper they went, the more distorted the footprints became, until they were no longer footprints at all, just sharp, talon-like impressions. The air grew heavier. The heartbeat sound returned, louder, closer, as if the monster was waiting for them. The tunnel opened into a colossal underground chamber, and in the center, something alive. A massive, pulsing organic mass hung from the ceiling, like a heart fused with machinery. Veins spread across the walls, pumping dark fluid through steel pipes. The entire room throbbed with each pulse. Mills whispered. Sir, this is the source. Kruger stared, horrified. This isn't a creature, it's a hive. A hive that had birthed Experiment 12. A hive that was still growing, and something moved inside the pulsing mass. Something large, something waking up. Kruger's voice dropped to a whisper. Get ready. It knows we're here. The chamber fell silent, completely silent. Even the pulsing of the hive slowed, as if the entire underground world was holding its breath. The giant cocoon-like mass hanging from the ceiling began to shift. A slow, skin-crawling movement beneath thick layers of flesh and metal. Kruger lifted his hand. No one fires unless I say. Mills swallowed hard. Sir, something's inside. It's trying to break out. The cocoon bulged, then cracked. A thick, black liquid dripped down like blood mixed with oil. Something moved again, heavier, stronger, waking up. Suddenly, the entire hive lit up in violent red light. Every vein along the walls pulsed like arteries on fire. Sparks shot from broken panels. Alarms blared, echoing through the chamber. The ground vibrated beneath their boots. Sokolov yelled, Sir, whatever they created, it's responding to us. The pulsing veins accelerated. The heartbeat grew faster. The entire room became alive and furious. It wasn't a facility. It was a living system, and they had triggered its defense. The cocoon finally split open. A wet, sickening tear echoed through the cavern, and then it emerged, a massive humanoid shape, but stretched, mutated, reinforced with metal implants bolted into bone. Its skin was pale and torn, veins glowing faintly beneath the surface. Its arms were long, ending in razor-like claws. Its face, if it ever had one, was now warped and eyeless, replaced by a mask of muscle and steel. Experiment 12. Alive, breathing, hunting. Mills staggered backward. Sir, that's not a soldier anymore. Kruger whispered, No, it's a weapon. Without warning, the creature screamed, a sound so sharp and deep it rattled their teeth. Before anyone could react, it launched itself upward, crawling across the ceiling with impossible speed. Claws screeched against metal. Its body twisted unnaturally as it moved. The soldiers opened fire. Gunshots thundered through the chamber. Flashlights flickered. Bullets tore into the monster. But it barely slowed. It moved like a shadow, like a nightmare. Kruger shouted, Spread out. Don't let it corner us. But Experiment 12 wasn't attacking. It was studying them, learning, deciding who to kill first. The creature climbed onto a twisted metal beam high above the squad. There it perched, long limbs hanging, chest rising and falling with heavy breaths. Drops of black fluid fell from its claws, sizzling as they hit the ground. It turned its head toward them. No eyes, but somehow it still saw them. Kruger raised his rifle slowly. It's calculating, he whispered. It's choosing who dies first. The chamber pulsed again. The hive responded. The monster prepared to strike. They weren't hunting Experiment 12 anymore. It was hunting them. The squad tried to regroup, rifles trembling in their hands, flashlights bouncing off the walls. Experiment 12 watched silently from above, its claws clicking against the metal beams. Mills whispered, Sir, it's picking us off one by one. Before anyone could react, a shadow lunged. Kruger fired, but one soldier disappeared before the shot even sounded. Sokolov screamed as invisible hands yanked him across the floor. Blood sprayed against the walls. The sound of bones cracking echoed through the chamber. Mills turned pale. Sir, it's not just attacking, it's hunting. Kruger's hand shook on his rifle. He could feel the weight of the thing's presence in the air, like a predator coiling before the strike. Amid the chaos, Weber's body lay still near the broken altar. Black veins spread across the stone floor, crawling toward the creature as if guiding it. Kruger stared, horrified. It's controlling it, or it's all connected. The hive above pulsed in rhythm with Weber's veins. The room felt alive, and Weber's dead, broken body whispered, "Finish. It." The monster lunged. Kruger dove, dragging Mills with him behind a steel support beam. The claws smashed into the floor, sending shards of concrete flying. It didn't pause. It was fast, relentless. Mills gasped. "Sir, it's unstoppable." Kruger's mind raced. They needed a plan, a real one, before the creature decided the next target. The entire chamber filled with black mist from the creature. The hive pulsed violently. Experiment 12 roared. A sound that wasn't entirely sound, echoing in their minds as well as their ears. Kruger realized the truth. They were trapped. No escape, no reinforcements, and the creature was learning from them. The battle had just begun, and the first casualties were only the beginning. Kruger and the surviving soldiers crouched behind shattered steel beams. The chamber pulsed red with the heartbeat of the hive above. "Listen," Kruger whispered. "We're not attacking blindly. We need to hit the core." Mills nodded, shaking. "The core? You mean that thing hanging from the ceiling?" Kruger's eyes didn't leave the massive organic mass. "It's feeding on everything. Weber, the soldiers, this entire place. If we destroy it, maybe we survive." They moved as quietly as possible, each step measured. Explosives from their packs were carefully attached to the massive veins feeding the hive. The creature above sensed them. It screeched, a sound that cracked their eardrums. Sparks and black fluid dripped down as it thrashed. Kruger whispered, "Once these go, we run. No heroics." Mills gritted his teeth. "This is insane. We might not make it out alive." Kruger didn't answer. He already knew the odds. As the last explosive was attached, the creature lunged. Black veins sprayed from the ceiling, smashing against the walls. The squad fired relentlessly, rifles blazing, desperate. Bullets tore through hanging flesh and metal, but barely slowed the monster. The hive throbbed violently. The sound was deafening. Kruger yelled, "Now!" The explosives detonated. A deafening roar shook the chamber. Black smoke and fire engulfed everything. The hive ruptured. Veins burst. The creature screamed, a twisted, horrifying sound. Kruger and Mills were thrown across the floor. Concrete cracked. Steel beams twisted. Debris rained from the ceiling. When the smoke cleared, silence reigned. Kruger pulled Mills to his feet. They stumbled toward the ruined church entrance. Dawn's light broke over the horizon, washing the ruins in pale gold. The hive, the creature, Weber, all gone. Only silence remained. Mills whispered, "Is it over?" Kruger looked back once toward the church, then forward. The world felt different. He knew deep down they hadn't destroyed the nightmare, just delayed it. And somewhere, in the shadows beyond the ruins, the faintest pulse of red light blinked once, a heartbeat, waiting